Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today was round 2 of Llobregat Open chess tournament. I finished my game and let's talk about what happened. So in round 2 I faced Nadav Zemach. I think Zemach or Zemach. I'm not sure, but he is from Israel and he's an international master rated 2414. And he is quite a youngster, at least he's younger than me. So yeah, I was super excited for this match, of course, as I started off with a great result in the first round. So I saw that my opponent mostly plays the move d4 almost all the time, so I was prepared for this. After d5, c4, c6, the semi-Slav, or well, the Slav at first, the semi-Slav is happening with e6, but this is the Slav defense, knight f3, knight f6, g3, and here I played the move e6. And when I got back to my room and checked what I prepared, I realized this was actually not what I prepared. I mean, I did prepare this, but I did not prepare to play e6. I confused the move order. It is so common, as in, well, it's so interesting how in d4 openings, one tiny move, it can be changing the game entirely. So I was expecting the move knight c3 at first, upon which I would play e6 and proceed from there. But my opponent played g3 right away, and I did prepare this as well, but for some reason it didn't hit me that I am not playing e6 here. I wanted to take on c4 first in my preparation. Well, I played e6, and then a few moves later I realized I thought that I didn't prepare well enough, as in I didn't check some moves that I should have checked, but turns out that my preparation was already gone after e6, the fourth move. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. But yeah, anyway, bishop g2, d takes c4. Now I played it, but now knight e5, and here I started thinking, wait, I don't remember this in my preparation. I don't remember that this was a possibility or that it made sense. Well, it turns out that in my preparation, this pawn would be here, and then I would be playing b5 and bishop b7, and then it would all make sense. But now I don't have time for this. So I'm playing b5 anyway, knight takes c6. Of course, this took me a lot of time, but fortunately, my opponent was spending also quite a lot of time, so in that sense, it kind of worked out. But here, after queen b6, my opponent played with knight a5, and I was really surprised by this because it looks like that's a free knight, right? Well, after queen takes a5 check, there's bishop d2, and my rook on a8 is hanging. My queen is hanging now as well, so I don't really have good moves to counter this. I mean, if I start playing c3, that doesn't feel right. There has to be something wrong with that. I think for starters, knight takes c3 would be interesting. But anyway, I was sure that taking was a really bad idea, so instead I played knight d5, covering the diagonal towards my rook. Bishop d2 is played, and here I made a terrible decision. As you can probably already guess, you see that there's this really interesting pawn on d4 that is suddenly up for grabs. I can take it. Well, I see a free pawn and I take it. Queen takes d4 is what I played, which at first it looks so logical. I mean, during the game, I was thinking that maybe my opponent doesn't know this line or something, or because this knight on a5, I thought there's no way this knight is good. There's no way bishop d2 is any good. And yes, I'm behind in development, but I thought a pawn is a pawn, and I don't see how my opponent can actually counter this or something. But what I didn't realize is that white is getting really fast in with the development, and already 3 pieces are out, and the 4th one is incoming because knight c3 was indeed played, and a few moves. Well, actually, in this position already, I felt like I had to find something concrete. But if you look closer to the candidate moves that are here available, I was thinking of bishop c5, there was b4, a6 to defend b5, bishop d7 to defend b5, or what if I retreated the queen to b6 or c5, or maybe another queen move. There are so many moves possible. Also, knight takes c3, well, that loses the rook right away, basically. There's so many moves possible, and I spent a lot of time in this position trying to figure out what is the best way to continue, because I'm up a pawn, and well, maybe there will be a position where I will have to give the pawn back. I'm fully aware of that, but I thought that should come to my terms. That would be on my terms, and I think my opponent would not have much. If my opponent gets the pawn back, but little did I know how complicated this position is. So just to illustrate some lines, let's say bishop b4, because, knight on a5 is trapped. Well, this is a mistake because knight takes d5, and now if bishop takes d2, queen takes, king takes, I can't really take back on d5 because bishop takes d5 and I'm losing material already. So yeah, I don't really have other moves because if I take on d5, then bishop on b4 is hanging. So that's why bishop b4 is not possible. And let's say b4, I didn't like that either because this knight gets really active. There's also knight takes d5 in the air, but yeah, there's knight b5. I don't remember 100% which move was the reason why I didn't play this, but I knew for sure that this is a bad idea. Also, c4 is getting weak and my queen can only be there for so long. Maybe it was knight a4 actually, because this queen is not really having a good time there, not at all. But yeah, anyway, I went for the move a6 after long thought because I thought, okay, I need to defend that pawn on b5. And at the same time, I'm freeing up the square a7 for the rook to go to. Then short castle was played. And here, once again, I'm struggling to find a good move because, I want to play bishop c5 or something or b4, but none of these moves really feel right. There are so many options that my opponent has to annoy me. And also, knight takes d5 is in the air, right? Because I know that after pawn takes, this pawn on d5 is very vulnerable, and I don't really have pieces to defend that pawn. Yeah, it doesn't really work out for me. So I played knight d7, hoping that I can get my knight to b6 or f6 and somehow get some development in. But as you can already guess, that did not quite happen. Knight takes d5, e takes d5, bishop c3. I thought, all right, let's trade queens. Perhaps trading was not the right approach, but it's really hard to see what else I have here because queen c5, d5 will just be taken, and yeah, my rook is suffering here quite a bit, and it's so hard to believe how this knight is actually doing such a good job at annoying me, and how it turns out that this knight is actually a good piece. It was really hard during the game to admit that. But yeah, queen takes d1, rook takes d1, b4. I thought I have to do something here because if I just develop with bishop c5, bishop takes d5, and yeah, who is going to help this rook over here? Because rook a7, I'll just play the moves out on the board real quick. Actually, bishop c5, the pawn on g7 is also hanging, but just to illustrate why this is so annoying, knight c6, and my rook is kind of stuck here. And also bishop takes g7 will come very soon, and yeah, I didn't like my position at all. So b4 is what I played. I was looking for concrete ideas because after bishop d4, I thought, okay, rook b8, at least bishop d takes d5 is not possible because rook b5. So that is attacking two pieces and I'll be winning material. But of course, my opponent sees this and finds an even really good move, actually, knight to c6. And turns out that I'm definitely losing that pawn on d5 because the only way to defend that pawn is with rook b5. Well, after rook b5, there's knight a7. And I figured during the game that if I just play rook b7, then the bishop will take the pawn on d5, and I'm still stuck. I'm not really making much progress here, so I thought I have to sacrifice material with knight a7, rook, bishop b7, and now the rook on b5 is hanging. And I thought, okay, it's fine. I mean, I may lose this very soon, but I thought maybe there is a world where I have some compensation. So rook fe1, f5, because my opponent obviously wants to take control of the e-file by pushing the pawn to e4 and opening up that e-file towards my king. So I thought I have to block it. I do realize that bishop h3 is dropping that pawn because I don't have g6, because the rook on h8 will be hanging. So yeah, I was fully aware that I will be losing a pawn, but it was either losing d5 or f5 or just a king that is just really sad in the center. So I thought I have to play king f7, So bishop h3, king f7, bishop takes, knight f6. And yeah, I'm really trying my best to hold down the fort. I feel like if white is not playing precisely here, it is possible to mess up because these pawns are very dangerous on the queen side. And if my rook gets to a8, then you have to defend the pawn on a2, and it gets really dicey. So I thought, I know that my opponent's super strong and it's like, over. He will figure out what to do. But I thought I can try at least something. And what I really love when I'm already, like, I know that I'm in a losing position and I will probably most likely lose, I always like to see how my opponent converts because, I'm not really losing anything. My position is bad already. So, yeah, I'm expecting to lose anyway. So, first of all, I have no pressure. I'm just, hanging on, trying to survive. What if my opponent makes a mistake after all? Anything is possible. Second of all, I learned from my opponent how to convert because, let's say I was with the white pieces, then I would have to figure out how to convert. So this way I'm, practicing, I'm learning from my opponent how to convert something like this, even though it may not be super difficult, but I feel like I made it difficult for my opponent enough because I think around this time I was already down to 1 minute. My time management in this game was actually terrible. I have a good reason for it because the opening was super complex, as you saw in the middle game, was very complicated. But that was definitely the worst time management I've ever had. But it didn't really matter in the end because the critical moment already happened way before, right? So yeah. Anyway, let's continue. E4, G6. It's not like I needed time in this position, right? Like I'm just playing very logical moves that don't lose on the spot, and I don't really have much to fight for other than holding on, trying to survive. Here in this position, I thought that my opponent could have played move e5 because after e5, g takes, e takes. I guess maybe it's difficult to make progress here, but I was thinking of, let's say, like stacking the rooks on e file and then infiltrating with rook e7. And yeah, my position is a bit, not so great. This bishop is also very weak on b7. I thought that was the winning idea, but my opponent went for the move bishop takes f6, king takes f6, bishop d7. And I thought, okay, maybe there's, I wouldn't say a chance for me, but I was thinking I like where this is going, but little did I know that d takes e4, bishop takes b5, c3 takes, rook b7. I slowly started to realize that my king is a bit too exposed. If I had some pawn to cover that king, it would be quite interesting to see how this would turn out. Also, maybe if the rook was on c8, things would be much more interesting. But because my pieces are basically not developed, I'm struggling a lot right here. Otherwise, this pawn on c3 is quite dangerous. White has to be careful because one mistake and it's over suddenly. I mean, things can turn around. But my opponent has enough time to figure it out. My opponent's also a very strong player, so it makes sense that he finds all the right moves. Bishop c8. My bishop's under attack, so what to do? Rook c7, and here I really wanted to, play bishop h6, but then I realized after rook takes c3, bishop d2, there's rook c6 check. And that's it. I'm going to lose another pawn soon, and I'm not winning material back. So that was a little bit upsetting to see. Because of that check, I'm not able to move this bishop either, which was originally my plan. So after rook takes c3, bishop b4, same problem, rook c3 check, rook c6 check, I mean, and yeah, what to do. So that was a bit disappointing. So bishop b4 I have to play, and then rook takes e4, the pawn drops, bishop a5, rook c6, king g7, and here it's basically over because my bishop is, well, not trapped because I can still play bishop d8, but then I lose the other bishop, and also I don't want to let go of the pawn on c3, right? So I try one more trick, the old trick in the book, rook d8, because rook takes a5, bishop h3, checkmate threat on the back rank. But of course, bishop a4, rook b8, rook b5, and now all hope is lost. Rook e8, rook b1, and I resigned here. So yeah, it was a really interesting game. Unfortunate about my prep that it didn't work out, but I feel like I learned so much from this game, and it was really exciting to me to try out something new because I'm not experienced in these sharp Slav defense lines. So it was really nice to try it out. I feel like I really gave my opponent a challenge because he was spending a lot of time and he really had to work for that full point. So it really made me feel good, and I didn't really feel bad during the game that I was in a worse position. I kept trying, and yeah, I feel overall just really, yeah, it's kind of weird to say that I'm happy about this game after losing like this, but it was a really great experience and I learned so much. So yeah, that makes me very excited. So that was round 2 of Llobregat Chess Open. That was my game in round 2, and yeah, I'm super excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be round 3. I have not checked the pairings just yet. The pairings are probably, actually, maybe they're not out just yet. It's a bit early. My game was not that long. Today the game was not so long. So yeah, I'm super excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow probably with the white pieces. So I'm excited. Wish me luck, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.